Hey guys, I think we are live. If anybody's watching this, this is Jeff at Whirlwind Family Farm. I'm going to put my reading glasses on here so we can see what we're doing. And yeah, so we are going live from Whirlwind Family Farm. And hopefully we have good contact here. I maybe should have gone 5G, but we're using Wi-Fi from the house. So if we lose signal, we're going to sharpen that up next time and do a little bit better. So we're learning today. We're learning. Here at Whirlwind Family Farm, if you're not familiar with it, we're in Central Texas, about an acre. Our land itself is much larger, but this 1 acre is specifically designed as a market garden, and that's exactly what it is. Now, if you're commenting today or leaving comments, this is going to be difficult for me because we're out live in the garden. A lot of people, when they go live, they're going to be on a desktop or they're going to be somewhere where they can see comments. So if you do leave comments, just leave them in the comment section below, questions that you may have, and we'll get back to you with those answers. So if you're on here, thanks for joining. I can't really see if we've got anybody live. I think we maybe do at this point. So thanks again. Here at Whirlwind Family Farm, just as this is our very first live broadcast on YouTube, I just want to kind of get you familiar with what we kind of do here. As a market garden, we started off going to farmers markets and had relative good success at doing that. But we found that we started having a market of direct sale to people in a town that's not too far from here. And so we started selling direct, and so we harvest. They get notification when our stuff is ready. We have a central point for delivery, and that's kind of how this operation works. But right now, if I had to pick a time when we were probably, how can I say, this is probably the time when this garden does not look its best. It's probably right now. I'd say the time that it looks the worst is probably January, February. But here at Whirlwind Family, I'm starting to see some comments there. Thanks, guys. I can't see everything because I'm on a tiny screen. Again, I have the disadvantage of not being on a desktop where I can see some of your comments, but we'll check on these later. And again, if you have questions. But we have 3 separate high tunnels here. This is our west high tunnel. There's our east high tunnel, and that is our propagation tunnel. Part of it's propagation, part of it has tomatoes. In the wintertime, we go to a lot of our greens in that section right there. So this is a time when we're kind of in that in-between period where we are now moving away from our spring and summer vegetables and moving into those vegetables that we're going to plant to get ready for the fall. Things that do well, like the greens, like the Swiss chard and cabbage, and those things that we'll start to plant. So again, I'm learning as we go along in this, as we go live. Whenever I usually shoot a video out here, sometimes it takes a couple of takes and you get a more perfected video. Today, you're getting all of my mistakes and everything that I typically would do wrong. So I'm making my way back here to the back part of Whirlwind Family Farm. Here about a week ago, this was okra, and it finally reached its full life cycle. All of it's been cleared now. So all this section is going to be turnips. We couldn't plant our goal today was to have turnips planted. We direct seed with a seeder. We were going to do that today, but we couldn't do it for a very good reason, which was we had a nice rain last night, almost 2 inches. So this soil was just a little bit too soggy. And if you look closely, we are a no-till system. My wife loves the exercise of broad forking. Broad forking, if you're not familiar, is just a method of loosening soil. It's not plowing the soil. So she came in and broad forked a couple of these to get these ready. And once this dries a little bit, we're going to start planting turnips right there. Below me is some butternut squash right here. If you look at these rows, if you can, and it's tough for me to see here where I'm pointing, but that's butternut squash. It had a lot of insect pressure. These were transplanted out about 2.5 weeks ago, but they're starting to come along now. They're starting to make it, starting to spread out a little bit. If we get down here and look close, you can see some are starting to creep. So some butternut squash there starting to make it. So let's ease over here just a little bit. Over here is just some yellow squash that we had through late summer. We had squash bugs, unfortunately, what took some of these out. Vine borers are really bad this time of year. We lost several because of that. Over here are green beans, bush beans. We actually had a loss of, believe it or not, several of the bush beans from a rabbit, which he's no longer around. And over here is some bush beans that did not have that rabbit pressure, and you can see they're doing a little bit better. So, and this is a trellis that we use for pole beans. They're pretty much at the end of their life cycle. So this is the backside of Whirlwind Family Farm. And as we walk through, we have a center area here right in between the two high tunnels where we have some peppers. Some of these also, weather really knocked some of these out. Back during the summer, we had a couple of severe storms, but they did okay. And these are serranos. If you come in close here, I don't know how well you can see this as I'm using the front-facing camera there. You can see some serranos there, and they're doing pretty well. Let me give you one more quick look. There's some serranos right in there, here in the center section. And again, all of this is no-till. These beds were all put in about 4.5 years ago. My wife and I literally cleared this acre by hand. We come in and the beds are all a uniform size, with the exception of that propagation tunnel. Everything out here is 50 foot long, 30 inches wide. We use drip tape, as you can see right here. And the great thing about having that uniform size, and I recommend that for anybody that's gardening, because if you have row covers, you can make them all that same size. Row covers are 50 foot long, 30 inches wide, or actually a little longer to cover the width. Drip tape, I can pull up drip tape here on the northwest side, drag it to the south side, and it's gonna fit because all of these rows are 50 foot long. So we thank you so much for finding us here today. We appreciate it when you like, subscribe, certainly hit the bell for notification on our regular channel. Here at Whirlwind Family Farm, to kind of tell you what this channel is all about is, yes, there's going to be market gardeners that may want to check in on this channel and find out what we do and how we do it and what we've learned, as well as we check in on some of their videos to see what their methods are. But here at Whirlwind Family Farm, we try to present information to you and learning to you as someone who's just a novice or a backyard gardener. Maybe you've been doing it for 30 years, but you want to see how somebody else does it and make comments and go, hey, in the comment section, here's a better way that we can go about doing this process, so you can contribute to that. But that's really what this channel is about, is sharing those gardening practices, especially for those of you that are just trying to raise some vegetables in a small garden in your backyard for you, your family, or maybe a few neighbors. And that's our goal, is to take you further along in that process. So we hope that that is what you get out of this channel. And if you've never gardened before, we hope you tune in, because at least you can learn a little bit about what we do, a little bit about gardening. And if you ever someday decide to do it, I never thought I would be in this business. I was in the corporate world for a lot of years. So if you ever do decide to start a garden, we hope we can be a resource for you. And you can look in and check out our channel. By the way, if you're wondering, those are blackberries that we planted about 2 years ago. There's a group of blackberries right there. As I swing around, there's about another 40-foot row of blackberries. And they all started 4 years ago when my wife, who loves blackberries, and I do too as well, she ordered some from Johnny Seeds. She ordered, I believe, 5 little sticks. And I have a video about this you can check out. And the short version of this story is, she ordered about 5 little sticks, and when I opened it up, I said, honey, there's no way that these things are gonna make it, much less produce blackberries. But she said, well, let me just find a spot to put them. And I said, well, just make sure they're not in the way of the other vegetables. So those are the original 4 right there. But you can see now there's hundreds of canes, and they have grown. They need to be pruned here this winter, but they're up about 6 foot tall, and they've produced thousands upon thousands of blackberries. And their shoots we have taken off and transplanted, which now consist of that row right there and that south row. So what was originally 5 little blackberry shoots that were shipped to us from Johnny Seeds have now turned into that. So there's a lesson for you on never doubting what your wife can do. I guess that's the lesson. The lesson is they can do well. And I'll tell you, blackberries are very hardy. I have 2 sons that will one day and hopefully inherit this land, and I tell them, you may be cussing me someday because I don't know if you can ever get rid of these. They're kind of like Bermuda grass. I don't think you could stop them if you wanted to. So they're going to be there for a while. All right, this is our first time to go live. Hopefully we'll get better at this and presenting, and we're going to have different topics that we're going to cover as we go live occasionally and talk about things that you like. And we appreciate those that have tuned in today. If you want to go back and watch this later and put in comments, please do that, because out in this direct sunlight on a small screen, I just can't see it. That's the advantage of somebody going live, again, when they're sitting at their desktop and they're looking at a big screen, they can be able to do that. So thanks again. The last thing I'll end with is we try our first broadcast live today is that this is looking at some of our pie pumpkins. These are cinnamon girl species, or the species, these pie pumpkins. And I have another video where I talk about it. They look like to me, we planted these mid-August. I didn't think they were going to make it, but just with the good compost that they're planted in, keeping them well watered, keeping them cool through that August heat. Now here we are, September 1st, and they're looking a whole lot better than they did a couple of weeks ago. So I think they're going to make it. My wife has put in a little bit of sweet alyssum right there. You can see it starting to germinate and come up as crop cover right there to cover that area as we start moving to fall and winter time. So thanks again. Thanks for finding our channel. I'm Jeff with Whirlwind Family. We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and end this, and I'm not real good with this for the very first time, so we'll see how we end our broadcast and shut it down. So thanks again. Talk to you soon from Whirlwind Family Farm. Blessings over you, your family, and your garden. Talk to you soon.